Hey, episode number 19 right here, SCTV, the realest TV. And today we're going to be covering credit score, all right? Why it matters, how I fucked up my credit score, and how I'm working on it and repairing it right now, for future purposes, all right? Of course, when you're young, your credit score doesn't really matter that much, or at least it seems like it doesn't matter that much. Of course, because, you're living under your parents' home, so you don't have the need for the good credit. But what I will tell you is that while we're young, especially while we're in school, they never really taught us how to have good credit. All right. By the way, I am on live right now, Instagram live, at the same time as we're recording this episode right here, because I'm trying to make it a little bit more interactive, but at the same time, like, why not have it running? So if you guys do want to catch these live, make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram. It should be somewhere below here or here. Jimmy can tell you better than I can tell, right here. And also on my Snapchat, all right? So to touch on credit, if you guys don't know Credit Karma, my phone is being used for live, but there is a sick app for it. And really what it does is just tracks your credit, okay? Tracks your good credit score, and it bases it on a whole bunch of different categories. All right, for example, how long you've had your credit, the good track record of paying the bills, etc., etc. And really, one of the main reasons why I want to touch on credit is because the product and service that my company, SunGrade Solar, that I co-founded out here in San Francisco, a residential solar company. In order for someone to do business with us, or in order for us to do business with anyone really, unless they cut in a check, but if they want any of our finance or prepaid products, they need to have good credit. But unfortunately, sometimes people don't. So what ends up happening is that they have to keep paying the high residential, electric rates that they get from like their regular electric company, while instead they could be getting cheaper power, all right, at no cost if they had good credit. Okay, without getting into the technicals of things. Really, that credit score can prevent you from a lot of things, all right? And unfortunately, sometimes we have to turn really nice people and people who deserve it for sure, who have like really, really high bills and can save a lot of money, we have to turn them down just because they didn't have a good credit score, okay? And also, when I went to go buy a car and finance my car, they had to check my credit, all right? So one thing I do want to let you guys know is that one thing they don't teach us in school is how important having a good credit score is, all right? It's going to be required for you to, move into an apartment, all right? Before I moved into my apartment, me and my buddy Juan, we need to have, they need to check our track record of paying the bills to make sure that we are reliable people in the eyes of the economy, all right? And that's what the credit bureaus are. So credit bureaus, there's three of them. There's, I don't really know all of them, but there's TransUnion, then I think like Equifax or something like that, and I don't know the last one, but it's just two bureaus who really keep a track record of all the debt that you've had to deal with in your lifetime. So student loans, any type of like, credit cards, auto loans, literally anything that has to do with debt, including like where you live, also gets tracked, and especially your student loans gets tracked by these credit bureaus, all right? And they give you a score anywhere from 320, which is the fucking bottom totem pole. Nobody's going to look twice at you when you're asking for a loan, all the way up to an 850, all right? So obviously the higher your score is, the better. And I think the average is like a 650 to like a 700. You're considered like, average, like in good standing or whatever. But anything below that is poor. Anything above that is really excellent, okay? And I'm not going to go into the full details of it because I'm still learning about it, but I'll just share some things that, I've learned. So the first thing that I realized is that you got to pay your fucking credit card bills, okay? So when I was first getting my credit cards in college, they were just handing these things out. Like, oh, I get a letter in the mail. Oh, you've been pre-approved. Like, you're a student. We pre-approved you for credit card. I'm like broke as fuck in school. And I get this credit card and I'm like, hell yeah, dude. So I go on a shopping rampage, swiper, no swiper, left and right. And then next thing you know, I get this bill at the end of the month. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the money for this right now. I'm in college. I'm broke. Like, I need some, give me a break here. But they need their money. And if you don't pay it for every single late payment, the credit bureaus pick up on that and, they ding your credit. It means to leave a remark on it, okay? or at least the financer, the people who are providing you with that debt and that loan, are gonna go ahead and notify the credit bureaus like, hey, this dude didn't pay the bill. So that raises a flag to everybody else saying, hey, look, watch out. Before you give this guy any type of money, like you need to keep an eye on it. In history, okay, going back in the ancient times, what ended up happening was it was all word of mouth. So since society was like real small, everybody would keep a track record on each other. Okay, so like, yeah, that guy's trustworthy. That guy's the village idiot. Don't give him any money. That guy comes from a royal family. He's worth it. They'll always pay you back, etc., etc. So the track record was really like all by the code of honor and code of ethics. But as civilization, kind of grew, they needed to moderate it a whole lot better. So that's why these credit bureaus came about, in order for you to do business like across the world. And so literally when I was living in Algeria, there wasn't really, because it's a third world country, so there is no credit bureaus, there is no credit cards, like everything is just strictly cash, all right? Like people literally stuff cash in their fucking house because they just didn't trust the banks, and nobody really got loans from anywhere because no one was really trustworthy, and there was none of these credit bureaus to keep a track record on, okay? So the point that I'm trying to get at here is don't borrow money that you cannot pay back, all right? Especially some of these advertisements like for car loans and whatnot. They're going to advertise, get pre-approved, like guaranteed, no matter what. Well, the problem is that they're going to charge you a high-ass interest rate, okay? So when you go to buy a whip and you're like, hey, dude, run my credit, they log on. They're like, well, we promise to approve anyone, but the catch is that we're going to give you a high-ass interest rate, all right? And it's literally going to bury you in debt. And that's all in the fine print, of course, which they don't tell you, but that's the thing, okay? So the first thing you got to really realize, if you do get a credit card, depending on how old you are, I always recommend that somebody, or I personally at this time, I would recommend you get a credit card when you have a stable stream of income. So when you know that you could pay your credit card at the end of the month, like that's when you have the means for it, that's when you go out and get a credit card, okay? So that's one. Because the truth is they're unforgiving about it. So unless you go through like a huge process, but that's for some other episode. And the second tip that I would give you is that you don't have too many credit cards, okay? Sometimes I see people like 4 or 5 or whatever. Literally, I narrowed my budget down to like 2 credit cards. I canceled all the other ones that I opened up, and I'm just focused on using these 2. One is for personal, one is for business. And I just keep my expenses on that. And that way, when it comes times for tax season, which it was like, now, all I do is just print out my, credit statements, and I pass that in, all right? Now, the third and last thing that I would share with you is from this website right here. Let's see. Let me pick a good one right here to end it off on. Oh, actually, let's just leave it at that. One thing that I would highly recommend you guys do is actually download the app Credit Karma on iTunes, okay? So go on the App Store, download Credit Karma, whether you have a credit card or not. Just download the app, log in, create yourself an account, and you'll just be able to see where your credit is at all times, all right? The best advice that I can give you is the more attention you put into something, the better it gets. So really just focus in, zone in on that, focusing on your credit score and building it. And it even has a bunch of cool little simulators on there to help you, track future decisions, all right? So like if I paid my bills, what's going to happen to my credit score? What if I don't pay all my bills? Like what's going to happen? And it'll go ahead and tell you, like, what if I run... Oh, one last tip I would give you guys as well, because Jimmy's, like, signaling me right here, is that you don't want to apply for too much debt all at once, all right? Credit bureaus don't want you to see you always asking for debt, because literally nobody likes someone who always walking around asking for money. Like, that just means you're broke, and nobody's going to loan you money, all right? Thanks again so much, guys. Episode SCTV, episode number 19 of SCTV, The Realist TV. Thanks again. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Snapchat right here. And also, if you want some free sales training on how to pitch, present, and close, click the link right below. All right, thanks again. Peace out. Yo!